In 1987, Andersonville National Historic Site began an ongoing project to reconstruct several portions of the Stockade Prison, like the one built in 1864 to hold Union prisoners. Through historical research and archaeological investigations, the park staff is better able to rebuild an accurate replica of the stockade. Researching into historic records, diaries, and drawings provides the visual picture of the height, type of logs, and construction methods. Digging carefully into the ground furnishes evidence as to the exact location and the size of the original posts. Here, along the west stockade line, archaeologists are searching for clues that will tell the location, size of the logs, and construction methods employed during the building of the wall and north gate. By removing the top layers of soil, they began their tedious job of reading the past, as Chief Archaeologist Guy Prentice explains.
We trowel it all down very smooth so that we can see very subtle soil colors, and it's based on these soil colors that we're able to identify where the stockade was. I think we can still see very clearly here the difference between the trench fill in this portion of the stockade, which is a light brown color, with the original ground soil color here, which is more of a reddish orange. The trench is visible here as a red band on the eastern side of the trench, with a gray band in the center of the trench and an orange colored band on the western side of the trench. What happened when they excavated the trench here for the construction of the stockade wall is they dug a trench about shoulder width and about 5 feet deep, and as they were digging, the uppermost soil was piled towards the exterior side, or the west side of the stockade, and the deeper soils were piled towards the interior, or the eastern side of the trench. The posts were then placed in the ground, and the dirt was backfilled from either side. It created this banding effect that we're able to see now in the trench fill. With time, as the posts decayed and rotted away, they created a band in the middle of the trench that we can see now as a grayish brown mottled soil, with occasional pieces of wood still preserved in the center of the trench. The posts that we're looking at here right now were part of the original prison construction. They have decayed with time and so aren't in the best of shape, but we can tell from the condition of these posts that they were set fairly close together and that they were squared up before they were put into the ground. Here are a couple really well-preserved posts in comparison with the others, and you can see very well the nice flat surface on both of these posts. That represents pretty close to the original size. The portion of the stockade that we are looking at right now was set into the ground with the original stockade construction. In June of 1864, the Confederates realized that the prison wasn't large enough to accommodate all the prisoners that were arriving, so they decided to build an extension to the north. In doing so, they came to the original northwest corner, which is situated right where I'm standing right now. This red zone here in the profile wall is where the original north stockade headed in an easterly direction from the western stockade line. This is where they tied in new posts and extended the new construction 610 feet to the north, where the existing northwest corner marker now stands. We can see in this area the difference in construction between the extension that was built in June and the original construction of the prison. In this area, the posts have suffered the same effects of being in the ground as the construction down there. So again, we're not dealing with original diameters of posts, but we can tell that these posts were round. They were not squared up in the ground, but they are round, and were spaced further apart than the original construction.
It was this addition added in June of 1864 that the Confederates used prisoners to build. Trenches were hurriedly dug as trees from the nearby forests were cut and hauled to the site. Without being hewed square, the logs were sat upright in the trench. This left gaps in the wall through which the prisoners could see. Additional digging revealed the location and size of the North Gate enclosure, as described by Guy Prentice.
The gate palisade walls extended westward from the main stockade, a distance of 35 feet, and then turned towards each other to provide an entry gate into the boxed-in area. The area that we have here exposed would seem to indicate that we had a gate approximately 8 feet in width. We're standing in a trench that's exposing the original west stockade line in the immediate vicinity of the North Gate. In fact, this piece of wood right here represents the last post in the wall to the south of the doors on the west side of the gate, and 10 feet, approximately 10 feet to the north, is another chaining pin stuck in the ground above the post, which marks the south end of the stockade line. We were surprised to find when we opened up this trench to expose the posts along the gate that some posts were also laid down in the trench horizontally. And you can see them here, 3 at the bottom of the trench, and then the remains of one more further up here near the top of the trench.
As a result of these archaeological finds, the reconstruction of a 300-foot section of the west wall, including the North Gate, provides one with an excellent replica of the stockade-style prison. A prison built on 26.5 acres, which held nearly 45,000 prisoners over a 14-month period. Research such as this enables our staff to provide a greater understanding of the history of Andersonville during your visit to the park.